In this video, you can find out how to plan and write an extract to whole essay. An extract to whole essay is the type of essay that you will need to write for your Shakespeare text and for your 19th century text. So when we say extract to whole, what we mean is if you think about an extract as being a small piece of a larger thing, so for example like the cake in the picture, in the exam you will be given an extract from your whole text. So you will get a small piece of the book that you've read to look at. You will get a small piece of the play that you have read to look at. That will be on the exam paper in front of you. Your job is to look at that extract and write about it, and then think in your own memory to the whole of the rest of the text and make some comparisons and draw some conclusions. So that's what we're going to look at now. So let's have a look at an exam paper. This is what your extract to whole questions will look like. It will always be worded in the same sort of way with the same sort of phrasing. So if you look at the top, it says, read the following extract from chapter 1. It will always tell you where the extract is from. And it will also give you, if you look at the second line, the gist of what this extract refers to. So in this example, we're told in this extract, Scrooge is being introduced to the reader. So above the extract, you will always get an idea of where that bit is from and also what the gist is of that particular extract. Then if we look at the bottom, this is where you'll get the question, and it will always begin with these words, starting with this extract. So this question says, starting with this extract, how does Dickens present Scrooge as an outsider to society? Starting with this extract, how does Dickens present Scrooge as an outsider to society? Always, in the exam paper, you will be given hints as to what you could write about, which is very helpful. And it will always say something like this, write about, : Firstly, how Dickens presents Scrooge in this extract. And secondly, how Dickens presents Scrooge as an outsider to society in the novel as a whole. So there is your extract to whole. You write about Scrooge in the extract, and you write about Scrooge in the novel as a whole. Step 1 in approaching this question then is once you've read it, you need to annotate the extract. So what that means is you're going to read through the extract carefully and you're going to make notes on the paper in front of you. The first thing that would make sense is for you to underline or highlight or draw a box around quotes that you think you're going to be able to use to answer the question. So we're looking for quotes that link to this idea of Scrooge being an outsider to society. So if we read through the extract, you can pause the video and have a read through. But when you have a look at the quotes inside the yellow boxes, you'll be able to see, hopefully, why I've made those choices. So why I've chosen those 3 things. So pause the video, have a read through the extract, and then see if you can work out why I've chosen those 3 things to use as my examples of where and how Scrooge is presented as an outsider to society. So, the reason I chose the first quote, external heat and cold had little influence on Scrooge. That whole opening paragraph talks about how external things seem to have no effect on Scrooge whatsoever. This presents him as an outsider to society because, in my view, it almost presents him as being in some sort of vacuum, in some sort of bubble in which he exists separate from society. So what I've done is I've got my box around the quote, and then you'll see I've added the word vacuum in the top right, and that is what you need to do on the exam paper. So you write down words to link to the quotes you've chosen that will then help you to write up your final response. So the first quote suggests to me that Scrooge lives in some sort of vacuum. It's almost a physical vacuum. The second quote is about the fact that nobody really talks to Scrooge. Nobody asks him questions, and even the local dogs avoid him and hide in doorways. So there I've chosen the word isolated, because Scrooge seems to live a separate existence to other people. They keep themselves to themselves. He keeps himself to himself. And he seems to be very solitary, very lonesome in the way that he lives his life. But then the final quote I've chosen is line 15, where it says, "But what did Scrooge care? It was the very thing he liked." And there I've written the word withdrawn. I could have written self-isolated. It seems that, according to this passage anyway, Scrooge has chosen to be like this. So he is withdrawn, but it's by choice. So what I've now got is an annotation of the extract. I've chosen 3 quotes. I've got a word to describe Scrooge for each of those quotes, and I would now be able to put together a response to the extract. But before I do that, I need to think about the novel as a whole. So, going back to the cake idea, what you need to be sure of before you start writing your essay is, does this extract reflect what you know about the rest of the text? So does this slice of cake reflect the rest of the cake that it's come from? You can then use these 2 words, which hopefully you'll have seen in the quote chains video. You can think about whether or not this extract contrasts with what you know about the rest of the text, or whether it corroborates what you know. Now, if you corroborate something, it means you back it up. So it supports what you know. What that means is step 2 is all about comparing with the whole text, and you compare the words and ideas that you've had about the extract with the rest of the play or the novel. So look at your words that you've chosen. So I've chosen vacuum, isolated and withdrawn. What you need to do is make notes of other moments when the character is like this. So corroborating moments when Scrooge is either shown to be in a vacuum, where he's shown to be isolated, or where he's shown to be withdrawn, and make a few notes on those, bullet point them. And then I need to think about, are there any moments when he isn't like this? So where are the contrasting moments in the rest of the novel? Where is he not isolated? Where is he not withdrawn? Where is he not living in a vacuum? So make a list of 2 to 4 moments. 2 minimum would be ideal, but you can go as many as you like. It depends how practiced you are with your timings, but usually people would write 3 paragraphs for the extract and then 2 moments for the rest of the play or novel. But you might be able to do 3, you might be able to do 4. In your paragraphs on the wider text, on the whole text, do aim to include a quote if you can. You don't have to, and you can paraphrase, but if you can remember a quote for other key moments, it allows for more language analysis. And you can also do more language comparison, because there might be a quote that offers a really stark contrast to one of the ones that we've got from the extract. So by now, you should have, from step 1, an annotated extract. This should have quotes underlined and identified, and it should have words to help you understand the points that you want to make about those quotes at the side of the extract. You should also have a bullet pointed list of moments from the rest of the text that either contrast or corroborate that extract. So that's your plan so far. Your next step is step 3, and this is your bus stop answer. Your bus stop answer forms the opening paragraph of your essay. And the reason we call it a bus stop answer is because this introduction really is the equivalent of a really quick, concise answer to the overall essay question. So if you were at a bus stop and your bus was going to arrive in 1 minute, and somebody came running up to you and said, I've got to go into the exam room right now. I've got an essay on this. What would you say? You, in your bus stop answer, should be able to say, oh, well, that's easy. You would say this, this and this, and this, this and this. So it's a very brief introduction to the rest of your essay. So the reason we do this, the reason we give a bus stop answer and answer the question in brief, is because what you can create then is almost like a contents page for your reader, which you'll see in a moment. And what that means is when the examiner reads your essay, they will read a shortened version of your answer to the question in your opening lines, and that will instantly set them at ease. They will instantly know that you know this character or this theme, that you understand how they're presented in the extract, and that you totally know how they're presented in the rest of the novel or the play. So it sets your examiner at ease. It also provides a contents page for you as well as your reader. It allows you to keep clear in your mind the overall path, the journey that your essay is going to take. So in your bus stop answer, you need to cover how the character or theme is presented in the extract and what about in the text as a whole. So let's have a look at an example. So here's my example of a bus stop answer. In this extract, Scrooge is shown to be isolated from society, almost living in a vacuum of his own making. He is withdrawn and takes no interest in others, and others have seemingly learnt not to take any interest in him. So that first section of my bus stop answer, I'm purely talking about the extract, and you should see in there the words that we've used in our annotation. So you've got isolated, you've got vacuum, and you've got withdrawn. Now I need to look at the rest of the novel. So I've written, this extract is reflective of the character of Scrooge in the rest of the novel, in which we can find a number of corroborating moments. However, this extract, along with all the moments where Scrooge seems to be isolated, serves as a contrast to the eventual transformation of Scrooge into a personable, interested and community-minded member of society. So what I've done there is I've identified two things. Firstly, I've said how the extract is reflective of the rest of the novel in terms of corroborating what we know about Scrooge. But I've also pointed out that actually this extract, as well as showing a lot of similarities with how Scrooge is elsewhere in the novel, it also serves as a contrast to that final Scrooge that we know by the end. Because at the end of Stave 3, he is transformed. He's a completely different person. So it's important that I lay that out in my bus stop answer, in my introduction, because then the examiner knows I'm about to tell them, first of all, how the extract shows he's living in a vacuum, how the extract shows he's withdrawn, and how the extract shows that he's isolated. They also know that I'm going to mention a couple of corroborating moments where Scrooge is also isolated and withdrawn from the rest of the novel, but they're going to be waiting for that moment where I point out the contrast, the moment when Scrooge is none of these things and when he's actually completely the opposite. So hopefully you can see how that's almost like a contents page. It could almost be paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3, paragraph 4, paragraph 5, paragraph 6. Now the final stage is to write your essay. So the annotation of the extract, the planning of your wider novel section, and your bus stop answer will probably and could quite happily take you around 15 minutes. That still leaves you over half an hour to write your overall essay. Your essay itself needs to contain up to 3 swan paragraphs for the extract and between 2 and 4 moments linking to the rest of the text. So you're looking at roughly 5 minutes a paragraph. They are short paragraphs. They need to be concise. They need to be specific. They need to be linked absolutely to the question. We will look at those in a separate video. There is a swan video, but we will look at an example of one of these essays in a separate video. But what you need to know is, once you've done your bus stop answer, get straight in to your extract paragraphs, Then follow those with some wider novel, paragraphs, and then a very short conclusion of a couple of lines. And there's your essay done. In roughly 45 to 50 minutes, you'll have done a fantastic job. Good luck.